All right, hey everyone, I'm Joe Andrasco with Voxel Dental, and today we have the Perfit Ovis that we're going to be unboxing here and going through the installation process for.
Remove all of the screws, and then you can lift the top of the crate. The mill, the compressor, and the accessory box are inside of the protective bag wrapped in plastic. Visually inspect the contents for damage, making note of the serial number on the mill and that the accessory box and compressor are present. Look for the enclosed checklist and verify that each of the items on the checklist is present. Ensure that the milling machine is placed on a stable countertop or table that can support its weight, and that the compressor and laptop can be located nearby.
Okay, we are going to begin by making all of the connections on the back panel of the machine here. That is going to be a power cable first. We're going to plug in. I'm going to thread that one down. Next will be this Ethernet connection. Plug in right here. The next connection is going to be these hoses that go to the compressor. So these two hoses are different sizes. One is a 6mm diameter, one is an 8mm diameter. And those are going to plug in on the back of the machine here. They're shark bite connections. So just press them in and give them a little tug to make sure they're connected. And then there is a serial connection that you connect to the back of the machine right here. Tighten that up. The next connections we're going to make are on the front of the compressor. So we're going to begin with the power cable. And the next connections we're going to make are these two hoses. Now these are color coded, so you really can't plug them into the wrong one. Also remember they're both 6mm and 8mm. Just press it in, give it a little tug. There you go. And then the serial connection on top. Okay, now we're ready to turn everything on. The order you want to do that in, you want to start with the compressor, power switch here. Then you want to come to the back of the machine, turn the power switch on here. Then you want to come to the front of the machine, turn the power switch here.
Enter the TCP IP settings for the included Ethernet connection and configure the static IP. Ensure that the mill is connected to the PC via Ethernet cable, and then launch the Perfit Ovis software. Once connected, the LCD screen on the mill and the Perfit Ovis software will indicate that they need to be homed. Click Home.
Okay, so when the machine first comes, it is going to have two dummy tools that are in the collets here. So you're going to need to release those. You can operate the collets with the collet left and right buttons here, but when you press this button, this is under pressure, so you're going to want to put your hand there first so the tool doesn't eject. So go ahead and hold it, remove the tool, close the collet, same thing with the other side. The next step in the process is going to be the auto calibration. So first click on settings in the upper left hand corner, and you should just be able to hit enter to get past this screen, and then select auto calibration. The first auto calibration screen is going to tell you which tools you need. You're going to need your hex, 3mm hex. You're going to need your calibration tools for the left and right spindle. you're going to need your calibration cylinder and the calibration cable from your kit. When you have those ready, go ahead and click Next. And the first thing it wants you to do is take these two calibration tools and insert them in the machine the same way you removed the previous two dummy tools. So get yourself in place, and then on the software, you can open the collet, and then close. Second tool. In place. Open it from the software, press it all the way in, and close. Okay. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and click Next. Now we need to mount the calibration cylinder in place using the hex tool. Calibration cylinder is mounted right here. You're going to want to twist it until you feel it lock in place, and you're going to use the hex wrench to tighten. It is a torque wrench, so you can't over tighten it. Okay. Now you verify the tools and the cylinders are in place as shown here. It's correct. The next step is connecting the calibration cable. Okay, so there's a few instructions here, but we're going to begin by connecting the calibration cable to the back of the computer. I'm sorry, the back of the mill. Now, the other end of the calibration cable are two little magnetic circles here. We are going to touch each one of those to the metal cylinder, and we should see that little touch signal go off on the bottom there. So we're going to come over here, touch that to one side. So now over here you should see that signal goes on and off as we touch. You're going to want to do that with both of the cylinders. And then once you verify the connection is there, go ahead and put each one of those on a spindle. Now that we have both sides connected, we can go to the next step, which is to just start the calibration. We go ahead and hit start, and this process will begin. And at this point, there's nothing to do but watch it as it moves. Be careful that you don't put your hands inside the machine during this process, because the lid can be open, or should be open, and wait for the process to complete. Okay, at this point the calibration is completed, so we just need to take the calibration cable off the spindle, unplug it from the back of the machine. And we can close this, and the next step, we're finished, and then we just remove the dummy tools from the collets again, just like we did before. Hold them and then release in the software. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put all of the tools in the ATC, the automatic tool changer. Now the automatic tool changer has positions for 3 tools on each side. This is position 1, position 2, position 3, and over here is position 4, position 5, position 6. There are 3 different tools that come with the machine, a 1.6 millimeter burr, a 1.0, and a 0.6. And they are going to go from biggest to smallest. So the 1 and 4 positions will be your 1.6, the 2 and 5 positions will be your 1.0, and the 6th position will be your 0.6. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put in the number 1 slot here, our 1.6 burr. We want to load it with the burr facing in. Press it there, good. The 1.0 burr is going to go in the 2 slot. For now, the number 3 slot is empty, so nothing goes there. And then on the number 4 slot, we will again put in the large burr 1.6 on this side. The number 4 slot is going to have the 1.0. And the number 6 slot is going to have the 0.6 burr. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is the auto teaching. So go to the settings menu from the upper left, hit enter to bypass this password, and then click on auto teaching. Very similar to auto calibration, auto teaching is going to have us get our 3mm hex key, our calibration left and right burrs for the spindle here, and then our calibration cable. Once we have those in place, we can click next. We're going to insert each one of these tools into the left and right collets. So again, you want to hold the tool in place, go to the software, and open the collet with the button. Press it all the way in and then close. And repeat the process for the right side. Okay. Once we've done that, we can click on next. Okay. Now we're going to verify that the tools and the ATC are mounted as shown here in the picture. So we do have the tools mounted here, and the ATC is this tool changer. It's already set up. Now we're going to connect the calibration cable just like we did during the calibration process, beginning with the back of the milling machine. This time we're going to touch each side of the connector and check for connectivity on the ATC itself. We'll connect those each to the spindle on the left and right side. Doesn't matter which is on the left or the right. Okay, and then we click next. And we start the calibration process. Similar to the auto calibration process, the machine is going to move and it is going to touch points on the ATC using the dummy calibration pins. Okay, the auto teaching process has finished. We'll go on to the next step. And we're going to remove the calibration tools from the spindles. Removing the cable first. Holding the tool and then releasing it in the software, closing it up again. Same thing for the right side. Okay. And then on the final step here, we are going to verify that everything is correct. So what you do simply is click on the Get Tool button. So getting tool number 1 will cause the spindle to move over and grab the first tool. Okay. And then once we have that tool, we can put it back in place by returning the tool. And we're going to repeat that process for all 5 tools that are in the machine to verify that each one of them can be grabbed by the mill. Okay, and once you verify that each one of the tools can be grabbed, you are done with the auto teaching process.
We will begin by updating the spindle offset values in the Millbox software. These values change whenever an auto calibration is performed. Enter the settings menu, click enter to bypass the password, and select teaching. Click the option button on the top of the screen and then note the spindle offset value. In this case, it is negative 2.407. You will need to edit 2 text files and update them with this new offset value. First, in the Millbox installation folder, find the displacement.txt file. Edit the text file and change the Perfit Ovis value to the offset, but reverse the sign. In this case, negative 2.407 becomes positive 2.407. Finally, find the start.txt file. From the Millbox installation folder, it is located in the dental/machines/Perfit Ovis subfolder. Edit the file and update the offset value with the actual offset value found from the teaching menu, in this case, negative 2.407. Millbox will come pre-installed on the system. However, in order to launch it, you will need to copy a license file from the Millbox USB. On the Millbox USB, find the .lkd file and copy it. Next, find the Millbox installation folder on the C drive. Simply paste the .lkd file into the root of the installation folder. You should now be able to launch Millbox.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take out the water tank. So press on the door here so it opens up. That exposes the water tank, which we can then pull out. Now the entire water tank can be lifted. You can take the cover off, and that shows you the filter here. So the filter you can lift up. The left side here is plugged in. So you can see where this plugs in here. So when you replace the filter, you just press it onto that side and put it down in the machine here. What we're going to do here now is fill this up with 4,000 milliliters of water, and then we are going to put the lubricating glycerin in here before we put it back in the machine. Okay, 4,000 milliliters of water is going to be basically completely full here. Do make sure that the filter is wet when you fill it up with water, because it is going to absorb some water and that could lower the overall water level. Also, this is where the water tank connects to the machine, and if this is going to be a little bit greasy, a little bit slippery, do not wipe that grease off. You want that lubricated there for when you insert it back in the machine. So the last step here is to use the lubricating liquid here. We're going to use 1 full cap of this liquid into the 4,000 milliliters of water. And so when I say full cap, it's pretty full, right up to the top. Okay, and from there we can just put the cover back on and then bring it back over to the machine. You can set it right down on the tray here on the left hand side. You can see where it seats, and just press it all the way into the machine and close the door. Okay, after we finish putting the water tank back in the machine, we are going to want to come up here and run the pump. This is just going to ensure that water is coming out of the nozzles and going through the machine. You might want to let that run for 30 to 60 seconds just to make sure there's no hiccups in the water system and everything is functioning fine. Okay, the last thing we need to do is run a test case. So to do that, we have our 3mm hex and we have a test block. So this bottom part is the block part that's milled, and the top part is the mandrel that actually gets put into the machine. So we're going to go ahead and load that block into the machine now. Open up the cover and then load the block with the mandrel side right in. Again, twist it a little bit until it goes all the way up, and then tighten it with the 3mm hex. Give everything a little tug to make sure it's in place, and then close the milling chamber door, and then we will run the test file from the computer.
Launch the Millbox software. First select New Job, then select the Perfit Ovis machine. Select the material to be milled, in this case the Vautech Perfit FS blocks. Now select the fixture or holder. There is only one holder to select for this type of milling machine. A screen will open allowing you to find a test case to mill. Use the test case STL supplied to you by Voxel Dental. Select Full Crown and then click the check mark. Once the object is imported, select the blank size appropriate for the blocks that came with the machine. Typically, this will be size C14. Select Save Tool Path. Select Fast Milling and click the check mark to proceed. The software will begin calculating and it will show you what tools it will use. Click the check mark to continue. Once the project is done calculating, note the folder where the NC file was placed. Now launch the Perfit Ovis software. Click Open and find the NC file that was just calculated. Select it and click Open. Click Start to begin the milling process. When the machine starts, ensure the water nozzles are pointed properly at the milling tools. The top nozzle should be aimed at the body of the tool about 10 millimeters from the tip, while the two side nozzles should be pointed at the tip.